Well, it's now time to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world. And Rufa Oseni, you will do that this morning.
I can't
Over
wait
to
for
you.
Mr. Feni to come back.
Well, you'll be back next week.
I miss him so dearly.
Hopefully.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Abati. We'll go straight to the first paper. This day newspaper, Nigerian newspaper of records. We'll just go straight to the stories. FG threatens a second lockdown over low compliance with COVID-19 protocol. But the writer says tests not required for school resumptions. CAN rolls out advisory on second wave of pandemic. And you still have some stories on the top page of this day newspaper. Attacks on Kuka unwarranted, says Shoyinka. It says Christmas homily was twisted. And automobile import levy reduction will reduce FG's revenue, report warns. The writer there, policy contradicts BPE-led committee recommendation. And there's a picture story here of the visit of the governor of Imo State to the president, President Muhammadu Buhari. We'll quickly move to the Daily Trust newspaper now that says, uproar as Akeredolu asks headsmen to leave Ondo. The writer says bad elements masquerading as headers. That's not what we discussed with Governor Miyete Allah. His directive affront on Nigerian constitution. Alaafin assures Fulani of safety, tackles Amotekun. There's still a couple of pictures of students of government secondary school, we'll say Zone 3, on the front page of the Daily Trust. Resumption, school differs on COVID-19 protocol. French-speaking criminals invade Yoruba land, Amotekun commander. Coronavirus kills 77 Nigerians in a week. Court forfeits 88 vehicles to Lagos government over traffic violation. Crude oil worth 76 billion naira lost the pipeline violence in 2020. Defection, Dogara not our member. APC saying that Jonathan chairs the 18th Trust Dialogue on Restructuring. That's on the Daily Trust newspaper. The Nation has got this. It says, police Amotekun raised search party to rescue kidnapped travelers in Osun. Low turnout in public-private schools. 20% of COVID-19 tests returned positive, says PTF. The writer, SGF, Nigerians must respect protocols to avoid second lockdown. Ondo orders headers to quit forests. Stock exchange to list shares for trading. There's also another story here, just at the top of the masthead. It says, who is who on Nigeria's ambassadors list? And anxiety lingers in Kwara APC after meeting. And there's still a story about Shoyinka talking about Kuka's position on State of the Nation. And Okada riders spying for bandits, kidnappers in Oyo. We'll move on to the Daily Independent this morning. It's got a big story here. FG raises 10 billion for domestic vaccine production. The writer says, assures Nigerians of safe, effective vaccine distribution to sanction another 100 defaulters of safety protocols. Asks NCDC to conduct 450 tests per local government areas. The picture story of schools resuming. Still the story here says, conflicting interest. Corruption worsened Apapa Road gridlock. And there's still a story about Shoyinka back in Kuka. Says he didn't denigrate Islam. There's also a story here that says Southeast will survive Buhari-led FG poll down policy. Ezefe saying that. And Governor Akeredolu gives headsmen 7 days ultimatum to vacate Ondo Forest. We paid 900 million to ransom to kidnappers in 2020. Southern Kaduna is saying that. We move on to the New Telegraph this morning that says 1,182 soldiers held in Maiduguri custodial centers, 1,170 male, 12 female fighters violate service rules. DPP 2,663 inmates are waiting trial in Lagos. Still picture stories of school resumption. COVID-19 FG releases 10 billion for vaccine production. CAN is stocking tough this morning. All worshippers must wear face mask. The Punch says NUT meets Thursday over COVID-19 rules and partial compliance recorded. The riders are people without face masks sent home in Abuja, Enugu, and Plateau. Ondo, Ogun schools ignore protocols. Rep panels disagree on resumption. Additional 10 million vaccine doses likely in March. Still picture stories about resumption of school across the nation. Akeredolu orders headsmen out of forest reserves, restrict grazing. Futa demands highway security as short registrar dies. Religious fanatics are twisting Kuka's statements. And there's a story about the NDLA seizing 2.19 kg of cocaine at Abuja airport. They're beginning probe on that. And PDP woos Okorocha as ex-governor lampoons APC plans party. Telco submit 43 million NINs to NIMC for verification. Let's move on to The Guardian this morning. Nigeria's rail cost exceeds AU's estimate by over 100%. That's a big one coming out of the heels of many rail projects going on in Nigeria. The writer says non-competitive bidding responsible, says experts. Contracts awarded before preliminary design. NRC is in a better position to speak on the subject, insists on Transport Ministry. We are not part of contract signing, NRC says. The buck pushing around. Kanu Maradi project signed despite AFDB funding advisory. And the story here says, FG releases 10 billion for COVID-19 vaccine production. Says vaccine would arrive soon. News to the ears on that. The top page of the Guardian newspaper. Let's quickly move on to the Daily Sun this morning that says, FG allays fears on COVID-19 vaccines. It doesn't contain microchip, alter DNA, and it doesn't alter DNA. That's the PTF saying that. Once on second lockdown, raises 10 billion for domestic vaccine production. NDLEA, Marwa assumes office, talks tough. 11th hour for fireworks over ambassadorial posting. Eviction threat to Kuka unacceptable, says Shoyinka. COVID-19 second wave, governors decide vaccination kickoff. And there's a story here just close to the top of the mastheads that says IPOB Kanu under attack over anti-Igbo president comments. And we cap it all with News Direct this morning. COVID-19, another lockdown looms. With the rider, governors to meet January 20. Imo government raises alarm over rising cases as FG releases 10 billion for domestic vaccine production. Still some stories here. Force officers mess, Onikon not for sale, force PRO. NSA tragedy, Edo government promises to offset hospital bill of 2 deaf victims. And still some stories at the top here. Use wisdom, top of the masthead, not power only, urges Tinubu campaigners. And still some stories on NSAS. Or your judicial panel concludes a preliminary analysis of complaints. PDP demands investigation of role in Ntekim Rex death. That's a sad one about that shining light computer scientist and engineer that passed. So that these are the stories making the rounds on our national dailies.
So many interesting stories there, but I guess we can just comment on a few. First, the article, the essay by Professor Wole Soyinka defending Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka's right to be heard, to express himself, to exercise his constitutional rights, could not have come at a better time. Professor Wole Soyinka not only defends the rights of Father Kuka to be heard, but also the fact that the homily that he delivered in December was not in any way an assault or an attack on anybody's religious beliefs, and that nobody should misinterpret the homily to begin to ask for the eviction of Father Kuka, either from Sokoto or any part of Nigeria. But I said it couldn't have come at a better time because it's about the same time that we're told that Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka has been appointed to a position of responsibility by the Pope. In this regard, he's been made a member of the dicastery for the promotion of human development. In this regard, he will become, a member of a body focusing on issues of justice, human trafficking, human integrity, and human development. Although the statement says the letter making that appointment was dated December 11, but the timing of the announcement of it simply shows that Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka has the support of the constituency that he belongs to. And that in itself should be a strong message to those persons who have been trying to politicize the statements that he has made about the health of the Nigerian polity and about priorities that those who lead Nigeria should focus upon. That is one. The second issue, front page of this day, and also replicated in the other papers, has to do with the reopening of the schools yesterday. From the various reports that we have seen, in terms of compliance, well, not every school across the states observe the necessary protocols, but at least substantially, there was compliance in many of the states. In some of the states, a no mask, no entry protocol was enforced in many of the schools, and students who did not have masks were turned back. We're hoping that in the days to come, in the weeks to come, that across the various states, across the country, those protocols, those guidelines will be respected, and children who have now returned to school will observe those protocols. And we're just hoping that there will not be a massive outbreak of infections as the schools resume. There was a briefing of the Presidential Task Force yesterday in Abuja, and Boss Mustafa, the chairperson of that Presidential Task Force, made the point that 1 out of every 5 Nigerians who have been tested in the last few weeks have tested positive. And that in terms of seroprevalence, infection rates, Nigeria is now number 2 in the continent. In terms of death rate, we're number 5. What is very clear is that infection rates have gone up on the average over 1,000 per day, even rising as high as 1,867 on some days, or 1,600 plus, as was reported in the last account. In other words, Nigeria already has over 112,000 cases, and the death figure has gone beyond 1,400. In other words, the second strain of the virus in Nigeria is very real. And on the basis of that, Boss Mustafa, the chairperson of the task force, pointed out that the Nigerian government will not hesitate to impose a second lockdown if people do not observe non-pharmaceutical interventions. And this is a point that we have been making, that the government, guided by data specifically, should not hesitate at any time to impose further restrictions, further lockdown, if people take the suicidal option of not taking necessary precautions. Now that it is very obvious that the second wave of the virus is real and that the numbers are going up in Nigeria. We are also told that Nigeria is going to devote 10 billion naira devoted to the development of local vaccine. Well, I hope that this is not money again to be shared among the states, because oftentimes this is the case. We hope that this money will probably be better devoted to the procurement of vaccines and the putting in place of protocols for vaccination in a very equitable, just, and transparent manner. Nigeria is a member of the COVAX Facility Alliance. Nigeria is also part of the African Union Vaccine Availability Initiative, which is going to provide 270 million vaccine doses within the next few months. Nigeria needs to put in place the infrastructure, the processes, the regimen for ensuring effective vaccination. It's not, we have passed the stage where we throw money at the problem. And this is not without any prejudice to the fact, of course, that we must also encourage local research. The national coordinator of the Presidential Task Force, Sani Aliyu, says that 774 local governments in Nigeria have been mandated to carry out testing to the degree of 400, 500 tests per week. I hope that the infrastructure is in place to ensure that in all the 774 local governments. But with regard to COVID-19, I think the most scandalous revelation in the last 24 hours is that of the governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello is called, saying at a public forum that people should not take the vaccine seriously, that the vaccine has been brought just to come and kill us, to use his expression. I think that that is scandalous coming from a state governor. We've been talking about Nigerian leaders providing leadership and showing good example. But in his own case, he has been very consistent in this regard. And I think that the relevant authorities should call him to order. He cannot continue to sabotage the best intentions and efforts of the federal government of Nigeria, hiding under the fact that he's governor of his state.